Good morning, everybody. It is 7:29 in the morning on this beautiful Friday on the 11th of May. And it's chilly out where I'm at today. Cold, cold, cold. It's that time of year here in South Dakota where it's really hot during the day, and but it's not really hot. But it's gets your house really warm still, where you can't really sit very comfortably without sweating your butt off. But you have the windows open anyways because at night it cools off a bit, but it's not cold enough to really fully cool down your house. But in the morning it's freezing. First world problems. Anyways, I want to point out that on the Forex Lens site, we have a chat now. So if you go to the website, if you go to the Forex Lens portal and click on chat, it'll open up a window, and there you can ask some questions or yell at me or put in some suggestions, whatever you'd like. I do encourage participation, and I'm happy that we finally got this added here. And yeah, so please do use it. Please, I'll have it off on my other screen here to take a look at. I move my stuff around here, and I'll be able to monitor that. Okay, I want to go over real quick. We've got import prices coming out, all that other jazz, and it's a Friday, so Fridays are kind of blech sometimes. I want to take a peek at an easy way that you can set up your charts like this. All right. So if we open up a brand new chart, just go to new. If we're on TradingView, we go to new chart layout. We go to I just loaded one, but you can just if you're gonna do it yourself, just go to new chart layout, and it'll put up a brand new. There we go. Remove all indicators and drawing tools. So this is the pound dollar, and I want to maybe look at the. Let's see, how far can I scroll out? Oh, that's pretty good. So what I want to identify is the all-time high and the all-time low. And so the all-time high is up here, the all-time low is down here. So we're always moving from left to right. So if I was trying to square a high from a low, I would go from here to this high. But because I want to use this previous all-time low from this all-time high, that's what I want to do. So where you find your all-time low on the pound dollar, we're going to find the horizontal line, and we're going to put that down right there. Okay, we're going to keep that there, and then what we're going to do is we're going to right click anywhere on the blank chart and go to properties, and from there we're going to go to scales. And then we're going to want to look at, where are we at here? If I can find it. Scales. We're going to want to square this chart. So right now it's like set at 0.00. I think we might want to go to, oh no, that's way too tight. 0025. Yes, that is what we want. So again, go to scales, type in 00025. So 2.5 pips is the price to bar ratio. All right. And then we're going to hit OK. And then your chart will kind of look like this. And make sure that it does stay like that. Okay. And we're going to go up to this all-time high, which was on, and this is very important. Do not scroll in or out with your scroll wheel, okay? Once you set this to squared, you want to leave it like that. Okay, so then we're just going to go to the all-time high there. I've squared my chart. And now that I see the all-time high, I want to grab the Gann Square Fixed. Okay, it's the Gann Square Fixed tool. All right, and I'll put that on here on the very top. And then I'll just move it as far down across my screen as I can. And then once you do that, don't do anything else. Just hold on, hold on. We don't want to we don't want to go any farther than we have to here. All right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to be very careful about this, but we're going to move. We're going to drag the chart down. Okay. We're going to. Oh, sorry. Whoa. We are going to click on the Gann box. Right. Going to the Gann box tool, and we're going to put it on that same all-time high. All right. And then we're going to move it with us. So we're going to scroll. We're not going to scroll, sorry. We're going to drag our chart and, whoops. Want to make sure that this stays up here. All right, so we're going to keep moving this down with us. And we're going to keep following this green diagonal line, which is the 45, okay? So we're going to keep following that down. And we're continuing to move it. And moving. Because we're waiting till we intersect this line here. This is the all-time low. And so we want to put it as close to the intersection of the 45 and this line that we, and the all-time low that we can. And once you do that, we're good. Then click on the square. Delete it, and then we can right click, go to price scale, back to auto scale, and here we are. So now we have our square of 90, 144, square of 90 in TradingView. Now yours probably looks like that, and there's nothing wrong with that. And actually, if this is all you're really going to have on the screen, this is perfectly fine. But what we want the angles too. Okay? All right. Now, and one thing I think might help is if we lock it. So that way, if we're moving our screen, we can't accidentally move this. But if we look at the past price action, we can see how important these zones are in our price activity, and we can see how much price respects these angles. And if we want to apply Gann's law of angles, or rule of angles rather, I think it's a law, but I guess a law has to be like it has to happen all the time. You know, that's kind of funny if you think about it. To say that something is a law, like the law of gravity, like if you drop a rock, you say the rock follows the law of gravity. Isn't that like an anthropomorphism? Law is a human construct. It's not a it's not a natural construct. That's a human thing. A rock just falls. It doesn't do it because it's applying some law. Oh God. Too early to be talking philosophy and all that today. Anyways, if any of you are on the portal right now, there's that chat box. Just reminding you about the chat box that is here. Go ahead and say a message in there so I know that it's working. And moving on. So the rule of angles again states that once an angle breaks, price will move to test the next one, and that's what we've seen here. This broke, retested, and so we should anticipate price moving down to the 1 32 zone on here. And so this is the proper setup for the square of a range using Gann's work, and this itself is an extremely effective and extremely profitable way to trade, because if you apply indicators properly, then we can see that when price approaches these levels and they're in an elevated state, then we have a high probability of them reversing. Okay? You can see that over and over and over how effective this tool is. Now, let's move on and look at our other markets. So let's take a peek at the euro here. Now, we're looking at this using stochastics and the composite index, and we are very elevated at these levels. We've traded up above. We're experiencing a pretty typical bear flag here. And what do we see is happening on the hourly? Well, it looks like we're getting a little top heavy here. The stochastics is in a selling condition. The composite index is certainly indicating a selling condition. And so this is a good short opportunity. So we gotta do that. Well, hello, Gerald. Yay, finally talking to people. And let's see here. Okay, WhatsApp, you're working. Okay, cool. So looking at this zone here, looking at these conditions on the hourly, there's a couple of areas that we could entertain shorting. If it's either a break of this angle where we test here and we'd be accelerated or elevated to sell down more, or just shorting right here. So there's a couple options. At 0.1946 or at, we would say, 1968. Those are a couple options right there. And it looks like the 1968 may be the zone to look at. And let's see now. Let's check out the dollar yen. Dollar yen on this looks like we have a pretty open range below us here. So, when this is happening, we don't want to really entertain a trade yet until we see price at an angle where there are two conditions met for going long. So there's really three rules. Is price at or near an angle? Well, currently, no, it's not. And then then the other two are there two conditions on two oscillators or on two other indicators that would say that it may bounce from here. We have a condition on one, but we really don't have one on the other. So really what this is saying is that we need to move a little lower to have a buying opportunity. So on this type of setup, there is no condition for the buy. Pound dollar, very similar scenario. We've got a pretty wide open expanse here. And so if we're looking at the pound dollar right now, even though we have a buying condition met on the a selling condition met on the composite index and a selling condition on the stochastics, we are not looking to take a short because we are not up near an angle yet. We're waiting for price and our indicators to all form a confluent zone. All right. And then moving over to, let's see, the US dollar, Canadian dollar. US dollar, Canadian dollar now. This is an interesting one. You know, you got to kind of, it doesn't have to be right on the line. It can be kind of near line, and especially if you think of like a, if you think of there being like a force field around these lines, like a shield in Star Trek or Star Wars, then think of there being some type of like small buffer around it. And, you know, I suppose I could make that more apparent. Oh, what the heck? Well, you get it. What I'm trying to say is there's like a buffer around this zone. And that is a hard object to select in TradingView. There we go. And so it looks like the US dollar, Canadian dollar had a bounce off of this level, but what we really want to look for, and because we're not in a very extreme condition, either in stochastics or in the composite index, is that if we break above this angle, and the rule of angle states that price will move to test the next one, where is that at? Well, that's all the way up there. It is all the way up there. We're talking well beyond this high. We're talking up in the 132.06 zone. That is where we're looking. That's a bit of a jaunt. Aussie dollar. We broke back up into this square, and actually what I needed to do, and I never did, I needed to create a clone. Because once you get your squares, then you just place them next to each other and repeat it. Okay, we're good. So yeah, again, looking at it, I didn't put that square there the other day, but certainly if I look at it, you know, we were looking at why price bounced, and that's why we bounced off of that angle. And even though the conditions here did not signal that they were all in the prime condition, just using a little common sense to know that while we were riding this angle down, it was fairly steep. And then once we had kind of the second green candlestick, that was a signal for a probable long. But again, because our conditions were not met, we were not really entertaining that. So looking at this entire area, there's also a thing you got to notice, that the behavior of price action and its moves up and down are going to be determined by the expansive, or the open space in this zone. So if we're looking at this area, if I draw a triangle that is inside this zone, I'll do another one down here. But I think you're getting the point. Is that if we were to, oops, if we were to, oh gosh. What in the world? If we were to shade in this entire area, if we were to turn it into like a red color, where this triangle was representative of this entire zone, then the like you can tell how expansive that is, how much room there is inside of this, and so the activity of price within this zone is going to be pretty wild. It's going to be a pretty large and wide variance of price activity. Okay, so the moves are going to be pretty big. We can see the inverse of that if we look at what prices do when they're nearing the end of a square and when they're starting out in a square. We can see that as prices break angles here, it's a little bit more choppy. There's not as much, the drives up are not as big until we get into these zones, and then as we're expanding out, they get deeper and bigger, and that is the market construction right there of that. So on the Aussie dollar, now certainly you can experience some weakness and see prices not wanting to return back down or wanting to continue up, but we want to wait for price to get near an angle to do a trade. New Zealand dollar. So here we have a breakout above this angle, and now we're just kind of drifting. But where is the next zone for the next angle for the New Zealand dollar, US dollar to test? That is right up here. That is where we're expecting price to find its first area of resistance. Looking at the euro dollar again. So here we did not hold this angle, so the rule is it's going to move and test the next one. So there's another test of this angle here, and because we're so extended here, we should expect price to retrace a good amount from this zone up here. All right. Also looking at it on the daily chart, what are we witnessing? We're witnessing that there's a 7.5 retracement here that is going on. On the daily, we're coming off of these extended conditions, so we should be expecting a little bit of a bounce. But compared to its peers and the moves of other pairs that have been in a very weak move, we shouldn't expect the pullback to be of anything of significant importance. Maybe a 50% retracement. Maybe a 618, but certainly further down is the expected trade for this pair here. And the dollar yen showing clear signs of a consolidative move before another drive up. That was a big day right here, wasn't it? 107.65 up to 108.71. It's a big day. The euro pound, it's also in a pretty large, expansive zone. Looking at this on the hourly, coming up against this angle here. To keep our eyes out on that one. Pound dollar, same thing. Yeah. I want to take a look at cryptocurrencies because we've had a lot of weakness in those overnight. Actually, the whole week, ever since Monday, we've had a weakness in cryptos. So we've failed to get to 10,000, and now we're just facing a lot of rejection from that area and experiencing retracement of our previous activity. And so right now, Bitcoin down 5.61%. A lot of the altcoins down. Bitcoin Cash is down quite a bit. It's got a lot farther to go. Ethereum Ethereum's nearing a support level. Litecoin has bounced off of its 618 Fibonacci level, but still looking at it in here, there's a whole bunch of space below that is still open. And let's see, we've also got, I like Cardano. Cardano not holding the 50% retracement. It's falling below this angle. Looks like it may fall down to test the 21 cent zone. We'll have to see though. We'll have to see if that's going to be a real zone of testing. What else? Yeah, if you think about it, if we look at these cryptos, look at Bitcoin for a second. From over the last weekend and into Sunday to now, if we measure the move, this so far has been a 14.5% corrective move. And if we were to go further down, we're experiencing a 25% move down. If we look at other cryptos like leading altcoins like Cardano, we go from here to where we are now. We're in a coming up on a 36% corrective move. Let's see, where else are we at now? We are where did I see this? Oh, Ethereum has had a, I thought Ethereum would have a bigger drive down because it's been kind of a leader over the last, it's down 20%. It actually is, I guess, leading the drive down too. So what is that? Is that 25% move if we were to go from roughly, yeah, about 25% drive to go to this angle? That'd be a good place to probably entertain going along again. If we look at the daily chart, I know for a fact we are getting into another buying condition. This is just a swing we've got going on here. If we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then A, B, C corrective move. I'll go over gold again. But yeah, I mean, if we're looking at this on the daily, and again, I'm not the biggest Elliott wave fan in the world, but if we wanted to consider, we've got first impulse wave, second corrective, third, fourth, fifth, and then we've got corrective wave. We have a motive wave, and then we have a corrective wave. So that is a theory, or we could even go down to around here. That would even be fine, but probably more than likely around this area before we begin our next impulse drive, our motive wave higher. All right. So, how does Bitcoin look with that kind of a setup? Fairly. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. Somewhere around here. Gold. All right, gold is a kind of funky one because it's right inside its square. It's like a dead center. So there's a large and expansive zone of trading that can happen within here. The trend is certainly still to the downside. So what we've just really been experiencing a pullback. After a downtrend that's lasted how many days we had? 20 days of a down move, and now we're into a 9-day correction. That's fairly normal, decent, expected trade behavior. Again, the upside zone is very limited, and we have significant downside potential coming up. Gold could experience a whole lot of weakness, or if we're continuing to trade higher, if we continue to make these higher lows, then we're really looking at a possible breakout opportunity really above the 14,000 value area. But we really want to be careful of that, because the dollar strength is significant, and so we'd have to see some real big drawdown in price of the dollar before we would get really bullish on gold. Additionally, there's peace talks with North Korea coming up. So as world tensions start to decrease, there's less risk. And Iran is still a thing, but Israel will just nuke them if they become too big of a problem. Looking at that there, yeah, that's we're just in a typical pullback here. The pullback from the most recent swing. Actually, if you want to go from like the highest swing high to the most recent swing low, which would actually be down here, I guess. We're right up against that 382 retracement, so we could retrace 50% of the move to 1333.96. That would not be a out of the blue scenario, but certainly looking at the overall long-term trend here, it is still down. Aussie dollar. I want to take a look at the Aussie dollar and look at it on the monthly now. Well, that's ADA. Where's Aussie dollar? There we are. It's because we've had a couple days of these bounces, but on the monthly, see, we have that trending down there on the monthly, and I was saying that this is probably one of the ugliest charts I've seen in a long time. However, on the monthly, we're looking like we're getting a pretty supportive candlestick here, where we may break back up into this range. We'll have to see how that plays out. We'll have to see how much strength there is to do that, because this could certainly just be a very large bull trap. So we'll want to be careful of that as we're moving forward. New Zealand dollar still looking weak on the monthly. Pound dollar just getting started still on its monthly drive down. It's hard to believe that. Gold is getting close to turning down here. We'll have to see. Again, gold's chart very much just like the Aussie dollar, but we're looking at a condition where we're more than likely going to have a big fallout in prices. This is more indicative of a bear flag on a monthly chart. But for the most part, we are looking at, if we want to take a look at some trend lines that we've got going on, we've got some long-term trend lines starting from the very open of trading views data that we have available. And we have some major trend lines that are pretty close to the price action here. We are getting dangerously close to some capitulation and worry zones for people who are bullish on gold. So keep your eyes out on that. Certainly any break below this angle here is going to be a bad sign. And it's not a coincidence that there is a confluent zone of the 45-degree angles sitting here in June. Well, let's look at this on a daily. Mid-June is where there's a big confluent zone of those angles. So be aware of that. What else? I don't really see much else. I have that Euro short idea. Aussie dollar is a hard one to get a trade idea on. Oh, what am I doing? There we go. New Zealand dollar. Go to the hourly on here again. New Zealand dollar is going to be a short if we break, really, if we break below 69.59. Aussie dollar, US dollar. 75 is very... Oh, we're looking a little top heavy here on the Aussie dollar. Looking a little extended. Pretty parabolic rise on the hourly. We have a trend line here that's fairly steep. The pitch is fairly steep. Got another trend line. Excuse me. Here, then we had that pullback, and now we're looking at the slope increasing. There we go. Incrementally higher. So should see a bit of a pullback here during the day on the Aussie dollar as well. But because we're not up against an angle, we want to just hold off a second. Where was I at? And I have a trade idea on Bitcoin where I think I posted it yesterday or 2 days ago where I said Bitcoin should be at 10K or above within 9 trading days. And where are you at? Bitcoin. There we are. And the reasons for that, if we take a look at this chart, is we have a pivot in time. That started just today. And so pivots in time almost always signal dramatic moves before and after and around the pivots. So the pivots in time act as a resistance to the trend in force in time. And so the trend in force, what does that mean? Well, there are various ways to look at this. So what has the trend in force been? If we look at this activity here, we were in a downtrend and then we hit a pivot in time and we traded up. We should expect the same type of behavior. Whatever happens generally inside a 192-day cycle, the 48-day and the 144th day pivots, they will generally act the same. You will see the same behavior exhibited, same kind of a pattern setup exhibited on their chart. So here we have, prior to this pivot, we had a little bit of an up move here over a period of days, followed by some sell-off prior to it, and then even beyond it a day or two. And then we found some significant bounce, right? And that bounce, what percentage was that bounce from that low? 100%. All right? 100%. Now, let's say we were to trade down to, I don't know, like the 7,500 zone. 100% retracement. You really don't even need me to do this. You can just double 750, but we're talking 15,000. Now, I would say that is a pretty lofty idea. However, the behavior of these pivots, they generally mirror whatever the first one did. And so it is definitely within the realm of probabilities to be above 10,000 over the next week or so. That is definitely a probability. We may even see some of that activity going on late into today, moving on into Saturday and Sunday, and beginning a fairly steep rally into the next week. So be aware of that. And we have our moon phases. We have the last bit of a moon phase until the next one next week, and we should experience a good bias for higher prices going into next week. So that should be exciting. All right. Again, real quick, on the portal website, we do have a chat box now. And so it's the first day we've had it open. So if you have a question or comment, please go ahead and ask it in here and I will respond. Oh, this is cool, guys. Oh, what? I did not know this was on here. Oh, man, my ADD is in love. Oh, this is cool. Wow. Oh, well. Gonna unnerd myself for a minute. Okay. Hourly on Bitcoin. Oh, might find the beginning of the bounce here in the morning near the London lunch session. Cardano finding a bit of a bounce there too. Actually, Cardano's actually a, you know what? I don't really put in these. I'm putting in a trade idea for that, but the Bitcoin price is a 0.30. Litecoin probably as well too. Oh yeah, Litecoin's actually really good. If we get back above the 45, so Litecoin at 139. Just say long at 140. That should bring us back above the 45. And let's see, Bitcoin. You know, I want to say you can go long on Bitcoin right now, but of course I want to wait till there's conditions met in that square. Ethereum, I think Ethereum's safe enough. Yeah, ETH is good too. But we probably want to wait for a break back above this upper line here at 686. One more look at our other markets here. Cryptos, look at gold. What's gold doing? A little weakness there. The euro. Certainly the euro, if we break back down below this angle, we're going to have a sell-off more than likely. Dollar yen getting close to, well, I mean the dollar yen, if we, well, we'll want to go along with the dollar yen like at 109.12. Pound dollar, nothing really gonna see happen there. US dollar Canadian dollar. Oh, US dollar Canadian dollar. If we break above the one, we'll just say that we would need to get to like 127.90. And nothing there. Yeah. Cool. I love that we have this chat function available. And so even if even if you're watching this, the recording, you can go to the chat and type in a question if you want something clarified, if you want me to go over something, if there's a particular pair that you want me to review and analyze, just let me know. And yeah, cool. You guys have a great Friday. Have a good, safe weekend, and I will see you all on Monday. Bye bye.